My name is Richard Smith. I go by Rick, and I attended Parkway schools most of my formative years, junior high and high school. Parkway West was my high school, and I graduated in 1978. During that time, it was a real eye-opener for me. I was a kind of a slow learner and sort of kind of an average student, and so to be here, sitting here, giving an interview, it's a real honor to look back at the experience, which I did not appreciate at the time. My strengths were the visual arts and working with my hands, and those things are, in our society, so many times not supported. But Parkway was able to see the value in having an art program that was pretty vibrant, and that helped me through those years. There were a number of classes that I loved greatly, and I still think about to this day, and that was my art classes with Helen Hume. And Helen and I are still in good touch with each other, and she comes to my shows sometimes and stuff like that, and that's really nice. She identified early on that I had talent, and she was very supportive of that, and she kind of gave me the confidence that I needed to believe in myself. So I really attribute Helen's mentorship to helping me become an artist and a teacher. The other person that really played a role was Bob Horsman. And Mr. Horsman was my industrial arts teacher, and he, really was the person that challenged me to push my technical skills with metals. And he singled me out of the group and made me weld in front of everybody and scared the living daylights out of me, but it firmly planted in my mind as something very cool and something interesting. And so my whole career has been based on exploring materials and metals and how they behave. And so I have Horsman to thank for that. Also, he was the leader of the Cave Club, in which I participated in, and I really enjoyed that. It was an activity that was down and dirty and outside of the box, and I really thrived on that. And so I have Horsman to thank for that one. Another teacher that was significant was Phil DeWine, and he was my chemistry teacher. And I really attribute to teaching me how to be a researcher. And his sort of method was to identify things that I was interested in and help me systematically look at it in depth. And that has paid off big time in my career as a visual researcher, an artist, time and time again. So, those three people really were critical in my development. And at the time, like I say, it was ironic. At the time, I had no idea of the importance of the experience, but now looking back, it's just, I couldn't have done it without that help and that commitment. Currently, well, I'll talk a little bit about myself at this point, where I'm at. Currently, I'm an associate professor of metals and blacksmithing at Southern Illinois University-Carbondale. And it's a prestigious position. It's the only university program that focuses on blacksmithing and metalsmithing in the United States. We're the only program that gives a student a Bachelor of Fine Arts in blacksmithing and a Master of Fine Arts in blacksmithing. And so it's a heavy load and a real challenge for me, and I love it. I also have a family along with the job, and my wife's name is Lisa Smith, and I have a son, Isaac Smith, and 2 dogs and a cat. And I operate my own blacksmithing/sculpture studio out of our home, and we live in the rural area around Carbondale, probably 6 miles from the Mississippi River, so it's a real quiet, kind of free lifestyle, which we really like. I'm an avid outdoorsman, which, I think looking back at being involved with the Cave Club and then later in college in camping club and stuff like that, I really take advantage of the outdoors in our region, in our area, and I learn a lot about nature, geology, and things like that, which I bring back into my art. Those 3 teachers that I mentioned really just had a huge effect, and particularly Helen. She really went out of her way to be supportive. She would have me come over to her house, and this is after I had graduated from high school. She always wanted to know what I was doing, so I would go over and show her art projects that I was involved with, sculptures that I had made, and at the time, I was running a custom design jewelry store in Springfield, Missouri. My undergraduate education was in Springfield at Missouri State. And so she had me come over and make jewelry for her, and she would commission me. And so she gave me the first business sense of how to deal with a client and how to, take her stones and design with them and then bring back a nicely, designed object. And so that type of business sense was above and beyond the educational process, and that paid off immensely too. So Helen just kept, overseeing the operation, so to speak, for years and years. So I have to thank her greatly for that.